Wall Street Journal did a big poll out there about the state of America and Americans. And there's so much in this we're going to go through. I've not really done something like this before on the radio, but there's so much in this to go through. It's talking about America's focus on having kids or patriotism or religion or various other things. There's a lot to this we're going to get to. But there are little parts of it people haven't talked about. And there are a couple headlines in these parts that really stood out to me above all. First, let's do this. The poll found 63% of Americans believe companies should not take political stands. Only 36% want them to. And then the poll said this. 43% say society's gone too far accepting transgender people compared to 33% say it hasn't gone far enough. Okay. So Americans, they don't want companies taking these political stands. And Americans, the majority of them, at least the plurality, they don't want any more. Okay, enough of the tranny nonsense. But then I see these two headlines. ESPN, this is from Breitbart, by the way. ESPN honors male swimmer Leah Thomas during Women's History Month. And then this one. New Yorkers overwhelmingly support bail changes ahead of the state budget deadline. And it occurs to me that we may be in a situation for a variety of reasons, and we're going to go through the rest of this poll and stuff, but for a variety of reasons, we might be at a place in this nation that I'm not sure we can reverse. And I don't like saying that, but here's why. Americans, for the most part, in general, the majority, plurality, whatever word you want to put on it, if you go run into 10 people on the street, Americans, they do want to live in a good country. They do want to live in a prosperous country. They don't want tranny filth shoved down their throats. They don't want Coca-Cola to tell them communism is good. Americans want what you want. But the reason I am so down tonight on what our future may look like is Americans also do not understand what they're dealing with it. And they don't understand why they're dealing with it. Therefore, they seem totally lost to combat it. When I see stats like this, you know what I see? I see a wounded lamb trying to make sense of why the lion is running at him so quickly. That's what I see. It's one of the darker things I've ever read, but it's where we are. We've already unpacked a whole bunch of it. Let's do this part really quickly first. This is a quote from the article. For me, patriotism has turned into right-wing nationalism. That's according to Janet Boyer, a former Pentecostal minister in Cumberland Township, Pennsylvania. Patriotism has turned into nationalism. Well, where's all this coming from? This is all coming from a poll that came out from the Wall Street Journal showing what's going to end the nation. Here are the numbers. Today, 38% of Americans say patriotism is very important to them. In 1998, that number was 70. Today, 39% of Americans place importance on religion. That number was 62% back in 1998. Today, raising children, it's important to 30% of the people in the new poll. Back in 1998, it was important to 59% of them. Okay, so let's dig into it. What's happening? And why is it happening? Well, what's happening is we are a late-stage republic in the early phases of breaking up. No, we're not going to break up tomorrow. I'm not being ridiculous. 100 years from now, this country will not look like what it looks like now. A nation cannot survive this.